Hey there, everybody. It's Alex McCumbers with Forever Classic Games. Got a little bit of a special from the archive for you. I've been thinking a lot about a retro homage game that really harkens back to the days and the designs of Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest and The Legend of Zelda 2 on the NES. And so those games had a lot of really kind of out there ideas that were really cool, but ultimately kind of failed in a lot of different aspects. Well, a game that's trying to kind of redeem that is Infernax by Berzerk Studios. Now, I had the chance to hang out with Hunter Bond over at Berzerk Studios at PAX West back in September of 2019, so I've kind of had this audio for a while now, and with things being kind of crazy and weird due to the various pandemic situations, and like my work schedule has kind of gotten really strange here recently, I did want to put out something for everybody for Monday, so fear not, a lot of little interviews like this are going to be coming out. I'll be writing about this for Marooners Rock because I was at the event attending as an editor of Marooners Rock and as co-creator of Forever Classic, so the article will actually be on Marooners Rock. Infernax is really dope. I got a really cool black metal t-shirt that Hunter designed, and that's been one of my favorite t-shirts that I got at that event. So I hope you enjoy. This is a really cool interview. It's about 10 minutes long. Stay safe. Be sure to wash your hands and make the best out of, if you're stuck at home, reach out to somebody, play some games with folks. Don't necessarily try to hole yourself up as much as possible. We have the internet. We can get online. If you want to hang out with us, jump on our Discord. You can find that link in the show notes. And if you do want to send us an email, hit us up at theforeverclassicpodcast@gmail.com. And as always, our main website is foreverclassicgames.com. Stay cool, everybody. All right, man, so before we get started, state your name and what you do for Infernax and Berzerk Studio.
I'm Hunter Bond, and I work at Berzerk Studio. Primarily, I do our marketing and PR, and then I work under, we have Mike, basically functions as our producer, so he's the one who keeps our studio kind of running with day in, day out, biz dev and stuff. So I work under him. I've, helped out with all the small aspects. I help do the booth, I run our social media, I do our media outreach, things like that. But I also, help write lines in the game and things like that. So sort of a misc, etc. The job.
It is quite the umbrella. Now, I was just playing Infernax, and this is a definite Castlevania sort of inspired project. It's got a lot of elements of Zelda 2 on the NES. How did this idea kind of come together? Because you guys had previously been known for Just Shapes and Beats.
What probably actually surprised a lot of people who are seeing Infernax here at the show is that Infernax is a lot older than Just Shapes and Beats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the project officially started, I think, roughly 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was kickstarted. It was just an idea they had and thought would be really fun. Successfully kickstarted it, then realized that due to time constraints and budget constraints, what they were going to be able to deliver, they weren't going to be happy with. And so instead of releasing a substandard product, they actually refunded all of our backers. We gave them back all their money except 1 penny, and we kept that so that they're still technically our backers, because everyone who backed it originally is still going to get a free copy of the game when we're done. But this was almost 7 years ago. So we just sent out actually an update before the show letting them know, hey guys, it's coming. We're actually doing it. So the reason everyone's always confused when they see Infernax versus Just Shapes and Beats is Just Shapes and Beats is actually kind of the outlier visually for the studio. A lot of our older Flash games from Newgrounds have a more overlapping muscly metal, lightning. That's very, very Berzerk Studio. So this is a return to form. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you guys did on Newgrounds back in the day? Because I used to kind of haunt that site, but way back in the 90s.
You'd have to ask Mike because the list is so long. It's so many games.
But either way, you cut your teeth on Newgrounds.
Yeah, definitely. We still have a really good relationship with them as well. We still get, honestly, one of the things when I run our social media that's fun is one of the games called Sands of the Coliseum is still extremely popular, specifically in Mexico.
Really?
I get so many requests for currency in game and stuff, and we left a lot of those games online without any you can't buy anything in them anymore. They just function. But yeah, there are still fans out there. They're so passionate about old Berzerk games. Berzerk Ball was another one. Berzerk Ball and Berzerk Ball 2 were both on Newgrounds, but also on mobile and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, the list of games that Berzerk has made over the years is absolutely ridiculous.
So back to Infernax, you guys are looking at PC first, console. What do we got going on there?
So obviously, as a studio, we love we're always going to be PC. There's never not going to be a PC. That'd be really weird if we ever did a not PC. But right now we're showing on Switch dev kits. I think ideally in a perfect world, we would be able to simultaneously launch. We're in talks to see if we can get some help publishing it. Not because we couldn't, but because it would be much smoother if we had a partnership. So that's going to dictate first party where we go. Because we're also, our other game is also on PS4. It is most likely, it'd be great to say we're probably going to go PC, Switch, and then also PS4 at some point as, budgets and time we're a small team, so we're always juggling more than one project. So that's usually the concern, not if we want to, as much as like how will we do this well.
Now, visually, Infernax is definitely kind of inspired by all the NES, but it is like NES in its absolute best form, and it's not like restricted by that.
Right. Well, the goal is to evoke what we're trying to bring, the nostalgia, and not just nostalgia, but like make the idea of a well-done retro game in my mind. When you think of something like Blazing Chrome, right? I don't know if you're familiar, but yeah, of course. But like Blazing Chrome specifically, what they do is they brought back a game concept that was great but not perfect, and brought modernizations that made it more fun to play, so that it's really more the way that you remember it being fun, not the way it actually played. We're kind of trying to do some of that, where like it is still a very difficult, challenging platformer, but we are going to have modes in it that allow people to play it a little bit more like assist mode in Celeste is something we all really appreciate, and we also appreciate like not talking down to players who decide to use the option of it being a little bit easier for them, because then you don't, accidentally push out people who have accessibility concerns, or just people who honestly want to play your game and they find the difficulty challenging. Like, we never want anyone to feel like they're not invited to enjoy what we make. So like, we want to keep everything retro except that sort of stuff. We don't ever want it to be hard to play the game because it's a retro inspired game. We want it to be hard because that's fun and challenging, and we want everyone who wants to put in some time to be able to play it.
Now, there's a mechanic that was showed off early on in one area where you get the pray and save function for an NPC, and I went through both paths, and it was two completely different outcomes. One where the NPC turned into a boss, and the other one where the main character just smashes his face in and gets it done and over with to begin with. How meaningful are the rest of the choices going to be, and is there some sort of like end goal, and is it the binary kind of good, you save them all, you get this, how's that working?
Yes and no. So those choices are meaningful in the long-term play of the game. That's not the only one. Like, that keeps going. That's a recurring thread. And it's definitely something that is tracked on the back end for reasons that TB announced, right? But no, the ending is definitely going to have more shades of, like, there isn't just a binary 1-2. There's other stuff. And also, even still, like, there are going to be main endings, but you're going to kind of be surprised, I think, what they are. Because it's not your classic, like, win-lose. Not at all.
No, because this is definitely like it's a much darker tone. I mean, your hero is going through fighting all these monsters, and the gore effects are fantastic. So how was the development of that? Because I used to study a lot of how the Doom guys would kind of do it, and they went through all the different like stages with the models and that kind of thing. So what was kind of the choice to make things like really hyper gory in this style?
It's Berzerk Games. Our logo is like a Berzerk head, like a Berzerker logo with like Viking horns. Like, that's always been the studio. Like, we have some other games that we all like. If you look back through their catalog, they're always like over the top in like a generally goofy way, though, right? We don't take ourselves very seriously. We're well aware that like our logo looks like an 80s metal band, which we're on board for. Like, but we try to be accessible in the way that we embrace that like over the topness. But like, the gore is there because it's funny, like, and also like it's visually interesting, and it's something you couldn't have achieved on the original hardware to the degree that we have, because like we put in a little more effort where it's not a binary like you're bloody and you're not bloody. There's actually something ticking in the background where it slowly drips off your sprite, and eventually you'll be clean, and then it will re-up. So like, the
sprite effects especially, and I'm fascinated by.
I want to try and create the marketing. Is it like dynamic pixel gore? Like,
I mean, that's a bullet point that I'm like, yes, I need more of that in my life. Do you have any closing thoughts about trying to get people to play it? I mean, when can we expect to have it in our hands?
We're really hoping that we can have something that we're happy with, like as a full, complete launch in 2020. So, we're here at PAX West, and like, I would love to be showing the released game in 2020 at PAX West. It could be sometime in the middle, maybe a bit later, because like, as I said when you were playing, like the game itself, the back end, the ideas, the level design, largely, that stuff is pretty done. We're closer to what I consider to be like a polish phase, so that everything feels as good as the demo.
The other thing that I really enjoyed, and hopefully this mechanic is really kind of expounded upon, you have an in-game game genie, and there's a cheat code that gives you a completely different character.
Yep.
Why and how?
Well, A, because we could, and B, coding. No, we, internally, again, like, we're paying homage to these specifically two games, right? More than any others, which is, you nailed it. It's Simon's Quest, Castlevania 2, and Zelda 2, which largely I think is an interesting choice in the first place, because I always joke that this is kind of a reclamation project for those two games, both of which had really good ideas, and then we're saddled with a couple of things that were like artifacts of their time, or just like poor design choices in like hindsight, right? Well, we're not saddled with having to carry any of that forward. So what we can take take from them is the good stuff. And so that kind of thing is like, well, the whole point of the game is like a love letter to these two games, but why not also include a lot of grace notes for things that we just love in like general? So like part of it also is that it makes it fun to show in person, because I don't think that we plan to like produce a thing necessarily that tells people all of the codes. We may only give them to specific news outlets or to people in person at conventions, so that they have to spread organically, because I love the idea of it being the classic someone on the playground has to tell you that it even exists.
Game facts, and there it is.
Well, and that's the thing, they'll end up there, right? But it won't be us that put them there.
You need to let people kind of gather them and put them all in there.
If I can help the game have the urban legend of codes that do things, the best part is that odds are it might be true. Yeah.
Be super cool. So do you have any closing thoughts for the people that are going to be listening to this?
I mean, I hope that we have something that you can either check out or play online soon that's more like, we have a Steam page. Please go wish list us if you're interested. That really helps us out. You can follow our Twitter account for our studio. It's at Berzerk Studio. It's Berzerk. You can check out our other game, right? Just Shapes and Beats, which has been doing really great, and we really appreciate like how excited fans have been since our launch, like, you know, about midway last year. But yeah, no, like, just check us out. Let us know what you think. Hopefully we meet you at a con if you come out to like a PAX or something. We're just really excited that everyone who's played it here has had positive feedback, and we just hope to keep showing it and like bring it out. And like, we hope that at the end of all of this, people who have no idea what we're trying to emulate and like pay homage to still have fun, and the people who do know, it's exactly for them. That'd be wonderful.